Obviously, Canelo's been on a quest now to be undisputed in his current weight class. He's wiped out the entire division. Obviously, his last fight was against Billy Joe Saunders, which was very impressive. Now, he's only got one title left to win to become undisputed in his weight class, and that title belongs to Caleb Plant. Now, one thing that I think is actually happening is I think a power play is going on between Al Haymon and Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, obviously he's in these short-term contracts with DAZN and Eddie Hearn, and he's got these short-term contracts where he's got more flexibility to move around in terms of his career. So if another promotion offers him a fight for like 100 million or something, and he thinks it's worth him doing it, then he could go there. And because he's such a big star, he's got the negotiating power and the leverage to take them deals. Now what's happened now is because Al Haymon, who's been around for a long time in the music industry, this is a guy that was associated with Beyonce. This is a guy that was associated with Eddie Murphy's Raw Tour, which back in the day was one of the most largest grossing comedy tours in the world. Like, this is a guy that's been in high level business within show business for such a long time, and he's been associated with a lot of stars. I mean, you can just see it in the graphic there. He's pictured with Michael Jackson. So this is a guy that rolled in that type of circle for a very long time, and then he went into boxing to promote I think his Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest, I think, was his first client. Now this guy, he's come into boxing now, and he's obviously masterminded Floyd Mayweather's entire career. And off the back of masterminding in Floyd Mayweather's entire career, making him hundreds of millions of dollars and making him become one of the biggest pay-per-view stars that the world has ever seen, he's managed to make his own PBC brand become one of the biggest boxing promotions in the US. Now officially he's not a promoter, he's put himself as an advisor role, so that the Ali Act is not actually enforced upon him. But because of that, he's actually put himself in a position where he can actually manage a fighter, advise a fighter, and promote a fight at the same time, because technically he's not a promoter, he doesn't have a promoter's license. Now he's actually found a way to actually do this. Now what's actually happened though is, if you look on the screen, you can actually see that the PBC like deal is not worked out as successful as he thought it would. He's massively in debt with his investors. Now his investors has pumped a lot of money into PBC, and it's not gone off the ground as they thought they would. Now don't get it twisted, a lot of fighters have made a lot of money from his promotion, but they're not getting the returns that they thought they would, to the point that the investment was worthy of its investment, if that makes sense. Now to run a TV, obviously you got like Fox, you got all these major networks that want to air boxing at this point, but for some reason boxing is, let's be real, compared to MMA and the UFC in particular, it's declined basically. So Al Haymon is in a vulnerable position now. He owes all this money to investors, and he's not getting the returns that he wants to see to actually pay these investors back. And not only pay these investors back, he wants to make a profit off the PBC. And now he's probably thinking in his own mind, if I can sign Canelo to myself, Canelo is one of the few boxers who's marketable enough to get my company out of debt. That's what he's thinking in his head. Canelo is the biggest name in boxing right now. Like, you've got Anthony Joshua, you do clearly have Anthony Joshua, I think he's second, but Canelo, in terms of his market pool and the viewers that he generates and how much money he makes, he is one of the biggest fighters in the sport right now. Obviously Mayweather's doing his exhibitions, but Mayweather's not as relevant as Canelo is right now, in terms of Canelo's in his prime right now in terms of his marketability and his ability to actually draw a crowd, and he's not on the top of his game in terms of his peak, in terms of his boxing ability as well. So I think Al Haymon, he wants to sign Canelo to a 6-fight deal, and obviously that deal includes the Caleb Plant fight, so that he can use Canelo's star power to get himself out of debt. Because Canelo, whether you like it or not, is a massive draw in boxing. I mean, his pay-per-view numbers are off the chart. He appeals to the Mexican demographic, to Mexican Americans and boxing fans in general, and he's gotten to the point now where he's crossing over, and even like people that casuals that don't really follow boxing really look forward to a Canelo fight. That's how big he's become. Now Canelo, I think, is a big enough star that he could actually make Al Haymon actually get PBC out of debt. But the irony of this entire situation is that Al Haymon could have helped himself in a sense, because about 3 to 5 years ago, I think DAZN offered I think they offered Deontay Wilder £100 million to fight AJ. Now, if they done like a cross network deal, and you can imagine the amount of viewers that would have drawn in with AJ star power, I think that would have helped in terms of getting him out of debt. But obviously they wanted to protect Wilder and wait until AJ got a bit weaker, like before they made that fight. But because they did that, I think they've got themselves into a financial hole now. So in my opinion now, it's just ironic now that he's in a desperate position where he's trying to coerce a star like Canelo to actually sign to him so that he can get the fight against Caleb Plant. The irony of this entire situation is I don't think it's going to happen. The reason is because Canelo was in an abusive promotional situation with Golden Boy for a very long time, and now he's just gotten out of that situation, and it almost got nasty where there was a lawsuit involved where he sued Golden Boy and said that they were like making meetings behind his back and such. Because of that nasty taste that he's got in his mouth from that entire situation, do you think it's likely that he's going to sign to Al Haymon for a 6-fight deal? It's just not going to happen. He enjoys his free agency too much because it allows him flexibility. If another network offers him a 1-fight deal where he can make 200 million, he can easily go over there. He's not bogged down with contracts and contract disputes and people saying, oh, you need to sign this and sign that. He's a free agent. So networks can actually pay a lot of money to offer him a certain deal, and he can decide whether he wants to take it or not, and he's more than willing to take it if the price is right. If he's bogged down into a 6-fight deal with Al Haymon, he won't have that flexibility. So what do I think is going to happen now? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think, at best, Al Haymon is going to have to offer him a 1-fight deal or a 2-fight deal. He's only going to sign short-term contracts. He's not going to sign these long contracts, 6 to 8 fights. It's just not going to happen. And the PBC right now is not really that successful. Like, they've got a few stars here and there. They've got Gervonta Davis, who done like 200,000 buys pay-per-view. They've got a few other stars here and there, but they're not on fire now, are they? They don't have one of the major cash cows. They don't have an AJ. They don't have a Canelo. The only person that's got that is DAZN right now with Eddie Hearn. That's the only person with Matchroom, technically. So that's the only promotion that's got a cash cow right now. PBC doesn't have a cash cow. They've got moderately successful cash cows, but they don't have the cash cow right now. And that's a sad state of affairs, to be fair. The two of the biggest stars in boxing is in under one promotion. I don't think that's a sad state of affairs, but sometimes if a few promoters have power, then you're more likely to see certain fights happen. If one promoter has all the power and all the stars, then it's more like a monopoly, and you're less likely to see them do crossover fights with other networks and other promoters because they've got all the power. When you've got the cash cow, it's like back in the day, Don King used to love to control the heavyweight champion or control the heavyweight division, because if you had the heavyweight champion under your banner, you literally had the most powerful promotion in the world. Literally, the heavyweight champion was the one that used to draw in all the money, used to draw in all the titles, used to draw in everything. At this point in time, obviously the landscape of boxing has changed. Like, the cash cows have been coming from the lower weight class, like the Floyd Mayweathers, the Canelo Alvarez. Back in the day, the heavyweight champion used to always be the major cash cow. If you was the heavyweight champion, you was the man. And to some extent, that's still true now. If you look at Anthony Joshua, he's a huge star because of the fact that he's the heavyweight champion. But we need to, if you look at it the way it is now, both of the most marketable stars in boxing are with Matchroom Eddie Hearn. And PBC is in a desperate situation. Their financials are just not in a good place. They're getting massively in debt. If you look at how much money they're investing into this, it's not working out, is it? Like, they're not getting the revenues they need to pay off their investment, pay back their investors. And Al Haymon's in a desperate position, so he's thinking in his head, I need to sign like a Canelo. I need to sign a Canelo to a 6-fight deal, because in 6 fights, with the money that Canelo draws in, it's likely that he can pay off the debts that that the PBC is under at this moment in time. But what you need to remember, Canelo's just come from a somewhat abusive promotional situation with Oscar De La Hoya, so I don't think it's likely that he's going to sign with the PBC. Maybe the PBC will offer him less fights on a contract with more money. If they do that, there might be a chance he signs, because he does have free agency. In 1 or 2 fights, he's a free agent again. He's doing a fight-by-fight deal with Eddie Hearn. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think happens next? Do you think he gets his do you think Al Haymon is going to sign Canelo? I don't think it's likely, but in boxing, stranger things have happened. I mean, you never thought you'd see David Haye and Derek Chisel work together as a manager and a fighter, would you? After they had a fight, like literally a physical fight, and a fight in the ring as well. So in my opinion, it could potentially happen. So yeah, that's my opinion. Now tell me your opinion. What do you think is gonna happen? Do you think Canelo's gonna sign with the PBC? I just don't see it happening. I think Al Haymon's gonna have to come back with a deal that's got more money and less fights, to be honest. But yeah, that's my opinion. Just like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.